check.
Ooh-ah-ee, sh. Bop. That's the range of speech sounds.
Is it?
It is. It's
Really?
called the Ling 6 sound check.
Well, I trust you because you're an expert on the matter. Hi, guys. Welcome to our first podcast. I actually did podcast. This is episode 1 of our podcast. I did podcast by myself, years ago. And then when YouTube took off, I got busy with videos, and so I haven't done podcasts forever. And Emily and I travel a lot, as many people may know. And as a result, we listen to a lot of podcasts ourselves, and we get requests to do them. And so we've started to do one. So what we're going to do is just introduce ourselves a little bit to you guys today. For those of you who don't know who we are and what we do, kind of give you an idea as to the craziness that encompasses the workings at Jason Lanier Photography. We're filming this for YouTube. Whether or not we continue to film them, we don't know. This will also be interesting because we don't have a set studio or anything else because we travel so much, so much that we're filming this in a hotel room, if you can't tell. And so we have to find a way to make it work on the road, and it's challenging with all the gear and audio gear and video gear and everything else. It's really challenging. We can't even film with all my myriad of cameras because you have to film on a camcorder, because if we go over 30 minutes, we're going to be running back and forth with everything. So long story short, this is our first podcast. We're excited about it. We are photographers. What we hope to do is share a little bit about the world of photography, share some fun stuff. We get the chance to travel all over the place. Emily is my muse. I'm sorry, I should have had you say hello. That wasn't very good of me. But
hi, guys.
yes, what we want to do in this first podcast is just introduce ourselves to you guys a little bit. And Emily's going to have plenty of time to talk. I will not monopolize the conversation here, but we're very excited to do this and to share it with you, and we hope you find benefit in this experience. So I have been a photographer now for 11 years. I've been a professional photographer. I left a hotel job, a lucrative hotel job, to become a photographer. And in very brief fashion, I'll share my history, but I started off as a wedding photographer. I ended up shooting over the course of the last 11 years, 250, 300 some odd weddings. And then I moved into, during that time, I transitioned into other aspects, portraiture and landscapes and whatever else. And long story short, now I find myself as a photography educator and somebody who does that quite a bit. And I needed a muse. And so I found a very talented woman who is a photographer, but also does a tremendous job at modeling and is a great creative, and it allows me to really stretch my creative muscles and to be able to try and get some great stuff. I've worked with Sony, I've worked with Rotolite, I've worked with tons of different companies over the years, and it's been a great time doing it. And all my assistants previous to this have always been models, and this is the first time I've had an assistant who is a photographer first and a model second, and it's really you guys are going to notice different things in the business because of it. So Emily is so polite and everything else; she's not interrupting me, but you can chime in too, Amy.
Okay.
But you don't have. This is supposed to be interactive, and I don't want to hog the
You're not.
hog the audio space, but. So at any rate, that's kind of what I've done. And again, I've been able to work with some amazing companies and shoot over, 5-6 continents. I've shot everything from NFL to Safari and Kruger and so on and so forth. And I really, really pride myself on doing a lot of different genres of photography. But what I'm known for, weddings and portraits and stuff of that nature. For my YouTube channel, I'm known for that. I'm known for switching over from Nikon to Sony. And working a lot with Sony over the last couple of years after I really believed in and still do believe in the mirrorless systems, and I believe it's the future. But at any rate, that's kind of me. I think that most people who are watching this kind of know about me, and that last thing they need to hear is about that history. They want to hear about the fun stuff now rather than all the stuff in the past. But they don't know about you. So now let's get to know Emily a little bit. This is Emily Ronaldo, and tell us about you, Emily.
Absolutely. So, hi guys, my name's Emily Ronaldo. I am a photographer, I'm a model, and I'm a speech language pathologist.
That's not something you hear every day. Really.
Yeah, I'm just getting used to saying all three. I'm from Rochester, New York. I finished my master's at Nazareth, and then I moved to Oregon. I drove 3,000 miles, got in my car, packed it all up. My little Corolla, it was packed, and I drove right across the country, and I started working in Oregon. I worked in a preschool where I served children facilitating, I facilitated communication in the classrooms. I also taught as a classroom teacher for children who are deaf and hard of hearing. And I had the opportunity to serve children in their homes, birth to 3, and work with families to facilitate communication that way. So that was like a really, really wonderful experience. I always pursued photography as a hobby.
Yeah, she's an urbexer.
Yep, and that's how I stumbled across this awesome guy.
She's crazy, guys. We call her MJ, Mini Jason. She's nuts. Like, there's pretty much nothing from a crazy standpoint. Like, hey, Emily, you want to go do this? Sure. If you're doing it, I'll do it. Okay. Most people are like, oh, I don't know about that. Emily's like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, no. If he says it's okay, I trust it.
Yes.
You wouldn't put me in an unsafe situation.
Well, that's very true. I only laugh because people watching the videos and stuff, they'll be like, "Oh, you shot in the middle of the road. What are you doing? Oh my gosh, you could have gotten a better shot or the same shot." That was a funny comment on a recent video. You could have got a better shot or the same shot shooting on the side of the road and been as safe. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" That's
the cars were not going that fast.
Yeah, guys,
not going that fast.
In the video, we sped it up so you didn't have to watch the cars go by. But anyway, and sped it up to a ridiculous level to where it's apparent that the film has been sped up. But
we do push our limits sometimes,
yeah.
But you have fantastic judgment, and again, you wouldn't put me in an unsafe situation, and I believe that. So I'll do whatever.
Yeah, in fact, it's thinking of something like President said, sometimes Emily gets me into kind of a mess, but yeah. So we thought we would just kind of give you guys a story on what we've done. Emily and I have been working together now for 5-6 months. And she's done a tremendous job and really has helped to really invigorate and to help me. I get a lot of requests to do anything from merchandising to stuff like podcasts to changing the website to I'm just a lot of requests from my followers out there to do different things. And I think the most difficult thing that I have always encountered and what I always run into is I can't clone myself. And I'm such a workaholic. I'm a self-admitted workaholic. And the only thing that I take time out for are my wife and my boys. So a shout out to them. We love you guys. I love you guys, and I miss you. And let me answer one thing on that real quick, too. People always say, oh, my gosh, you never see your family. It's not the case, guys. When you see social media, you're seeing, like, the stuff we post. But we certainly, we're home at least half the month.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to put that out there, but a shout out to you guys. I love you very much. So I found myself looking for a travel assistant. The last one I had ended in December, a year ago, ended in December. And so I had a casting call out there and on my website. And so I had, people sending me, their resumes and, so on and so forth. And so I put it out there, and then I get a message from Emily, and it was an email contact form. And I say,
and this was about in March.
Yeah, and I get a thing, and it says, hey, I really... And the thing that struck me was that she loved photography, and I'd never seen that. See, what you guys don't understand is I know she's stunning, and she's... if you're watching the YouTube video of this, if you're watching a podcast... Go and Google, our work together, and you'll see what I'm talking about. She's definitely model worthy, so to speak.
Thank you.
However, she could care less if she's in a magazine. It's nuts. Like, she really, her thing is photography. She freaking loves it.
And it was so funny too. I remember I came home from work, I was scrolling through my feed, and I saw a post and you were requesting a travel model, and I was like, I'll fill this out, because I knew I would kick myself in the butt if I didn't try. I didn't expect you to text me, but I submitted it, and 3 minutes later, I get a text message. Hey, this is Jason Lanier. And I'm like, what? I start hyperventilating, what? And then we start having a conversation.
Yeah, and then it was funny, because what ended up happening was, again, something different about her from all the others was the fact that, to be honest, all the others were available. They didn't have... honestly, they didn't have like other jobs and stuff. Their modeling was their thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. But modeling was and is their thing.
And excuse me, I remember you had said, "How can you be of benefit to me?" And I'm like, "Oh, oh, I really didn't think that you were gonna text me for one." And then I had to admit, hey, I work 40 hours a week.
Yeah,
and
she said that, and I'm like, how in the... She said that to me, and I'm like, how are you going to be a travel assistant, travel model, if you're a speech language pathologist? And I didn't ever think that she would... I never in my wildest dreams imagined somebody would reach out to me who has a master's degree in speech language pathology. And when she did, she's like, yeah, okay. And so I'm like, well... What I ended up telling you, well, maybe down the road we can work together. Or...
Yeah, he was super nice, not dismissive at all, and I had to come to a point where I recognized, hey, I understand that my current job interferes with the travel model role. And then you're like, you kind of sent me a smiley face, and you're like, yeah, well, I really look forward to working with you in the future. So we kept it open-ended, and... I was like, okay, phew. That was a cool interaction that just occurred.
So then in May, I went up to Camera Store. Do you remember? I feel bad. Kenmore, thank you. Went to Kenmore Camera, and I did an event up there for Rhodolite, and ended up talking. And afterwards, I did 2 sessions. And after the sessions, I did a photo walk, which is, something I do a lot. Big group. We had, I think, 15 people at that photo walk alone.
Well, just to backtrack a little, when I saw that you were coming... Okay, so again, I was living in Oregon, and I saw he was coming to Seattle, and it was like a 4-hour drive. I'm like, the heavens are shining down on me. Oh, I have to go. And so I quick purchased a ticket, and I drove on over there very fast because I was ready to come. And this was in May. This was a few months later. I was like, okay, now's my chance. So then, now you're doing roll call.
So I'm just doing roll call, going off, okay, who's here to attend, and so on and so forth. And as I go around, I see Emily, and I didn't put anything together. I mean, I was just not thinking about it. And I looked at her and I said, oh, I should shoot you sometime. And you're like...
I'm like, what? He's like, I like your blouse. We're doing introductions. Hey, I like your blouse. I should shoot you sometime. And I'm like turning red, trying to talk about what I want to learn.
Yeah, because and so then as the course of the photo walk went on, I said, really, I would love to shoot you sometime, because I didn't know where she was from, and so I kind of assume people are from that area. So I had a workshop the following month again in Seattle, my own workshop, not anything related to Kenmore Camera. And I was like, hey, I'll see if I can get her to model for me, because that'd be great, to do for the workshop. And so...
so we're exchanging numbers.
Yeah.
And I'm giving, he's like, what's your number? I'm giving it to him, and I watch him. He's typing it over and over again. 3 times he typed it, and something kept coming up. A saved contact kept coming up. And he's looking all puzzled, and I'm just kind of standing behind him.
And I'm like, what the freak is with this stupid phone? It's like, seriously, like, what is...
something's already saved. And I said, well, we did speak in March. And the light bulb went off.
Yeah, and I felt so stupid. I was like, oh my... Yeah, I felt awful. I said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And she's like, no, it's okay. She was very very sweet about it. But I said, honestly, I have so many things, and now that Emily's part of this world, she kind of understands how crazy it is and how many people contact you. And so I'm like, I remembered exactly who she was once I put 2 and 2 together.
I'm glad you saved me, though, because that meant that you meant it when you wanted to shoot me in the future.
Absolutely. That's
At least
true.
you saved me.
That is true. At least she made the contact list in my phone. But
I'm like, yeah, we talked in March. Oh, now I remember, he said.
So, anyway, she came in. She went back home and did her, job that she paid, $1 million
$100,000
of student loans to get, and then she, a month later, she joined me out back. She did indeed come back out for the workshop in Seattle and join me, and ended up being with me in Seattle and coming to San Francisco, and then we had about a month where she needed to clear things up with her job. I took off to South Africa to do events for Sony and I went on safari by myself, and over the course of that time, she got her affairs in order, and
he was so gracious to wait for me. Trust me, I would have loved to go on safari. Are you kidding? I would have loved to go to Africa, but we had to tie up loose ends. I didn't want to burn any bridges. It was my first real job that actually mattered. And
I even told her, I said, hey, take your time and
yeah.
give the proper notice and everything, because you guys got to understand too, if you're, if you demand somebody to act inappropriately or in a rush with their former job, how do you expect them to act with you?
Yeah.
You know what I
and
mean?
you waited around 3 months. I almost said 90 days. 3 months.
Yeah,
to get everything all
clear.
To
get everything lined up. It was quite a wait, but
thank you.
You're welcome. But we've had a really good run. But I think the funny thing too is I didn't even understand at the time that Emily was she's been following me for a while. I didn't even know that. What was the first video that you watched of mine?
It was the video where you broke into Six Flags. My friend, I was in Philly. I was out breaking into abandoned buildings and exploring with a buddy of mine, and he's a Nikon shooter, by the way, and he said, hey, Emily, you've got to see this guy. He is so incredible. So he, pulls up YouTube and shows me the Six Flags video, and I was just like in awe. Wow, this guy's great. This guy is so great. And so we watched some of your videos, and I remember I went home and I watched some pinup videos. It was really, really awesome. I'm like, oh, this guy is so cool. And ever since then, I've been a fan. I'm still a fan.
Oh, that's very sweet. And, just so you guys, if you were listening to this podcast for the first time, you don't know who we are. We're not going to sit here and talk all about our memories the whole time, but people do ask a lot, like, how did we get started? How did we do this? And so we're trying to share that. But it was pretty funny because we were just in New Orleans, a week ago?
A week ago.
Emily's like, please, can we at least drive by Six Flags? So
we did, too.
We drove by, and we'll just leave that story alone.
We drove by a few times.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is going to be a fun way for us to do a podcast. It's going to be a fun way for us to connect. The difference in podcasting versus doing the YouTube videos. YouTube videos you have to keep more concise, and it's not as conversational. And something that we're going to do in this podcast as well is we're going to answer some questions. A lot of people have questions, and it's different when you're trying to get things together for YouTube. It's really different to, make sure it's the right amount of time and whatever else. So we're going to add some stuff into this podcast. We're going to talk about gear in the podcast. We're going to talk about photography memories. We're going to give advice and tips, struggles, things that we do well, things that we need to get better at. We're going to talk about, we're going to answer some of these Ask Me questions that you guys have been asking. We have a section on the website, which is jasonlanier.com/askme, where you guys can ask some of these things. Mm-hmm. And we really want to make this, a fun podcast, but something that, you can sit in your car and listen to, and it really, gives you a lot of value. And, I think over the course of what we've done, we're able to share a lot of fun tips and tricks from the traveling that we do. We have
so much traveling. Jason always says we live about like 3 lifetimes in a few months, and he's absolutely right. So not only is this for the listeners, I'm really going to be happy one day to sit back and listen to the crazy memories that we've created.
Absolutely.
It's really going to be special.
And, you know, guys, she joined me, I guess, quote unquote, full time in August after all was said and done. But how many countries have you been to in that time?
Like 10, 11, I don't know, a
and
lot.
This is December?
Yeah,
December
it's
5th?
only been a few months, and I'm getting a lot of stamps in my passport.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, as of right now, you know, we're starting this podcast off new. This podcast is sponsored by who, Emily?
Jason Lanier Workshops.
It is. So we do workshops all around the world, guys. We have a great time doing them. Something that I like to do with the world of photography is make it different, make it fun. I think many times a lot of pros out there, take themselves way too seriously. I think a lot of pros also, and I'm not down in all pros. There's some amazing professional photographers out there who share a lot and do a lot of great good with the work that they're putting out. But there's also, you know, I think a void of there's stuff missing where photographers can do more to be more approachable, to make photography fun, not take yourself too seriously. You know, in my videos, if you guys watch them, you know, when the gear breaks, I show it. When I drop stuff, I show it. You know, because that's the reality of photography. Any photographer who sits there and pretends that stuff doesn't happen to them is honestly putting on a facade. And so I like to kind of wipe away those facades and make it fun. So we do the same at the workshops. We really try to push it to where people are able to get real results. And I say that because, you know, a lot of workshops are based around, you'll go to the workshop, there'll be a guy there or gal, he'll set up the perfect lighting for you, perfect scenario, gets a model that poses herself, and you get great shots, but you don't know what you did after. You don't know how to do it after you leave the workshop. And we do the exact opposite. We make you build the shots with our help, of course, and then that helps you to be able to replicate it after it's over.
And it's really great at the workshops. He takes it step by step, starting with the fundamentals of photography. And, you know, at this time, the model is posing themselves. But once given explicit instruction on how to pose, it's great how he has the models not do it. And then the photographers get experience posing the models, directing the shoot, and really that communication piece, which will drive the entire shoot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's do an Ask Me question. Let's find out what's on the docket.
All right.
I don't know what she's picked, so this will be fun for me to figure out.
Ask me anything. Again, we encourage you to go to his website, jasonlanier.com/askme, to submit any questions you may have. This one is a question related to posing.
Ooh, that's a big subject.
I have trouble with his name.
Don't worry about the name. Just
okay.
Let
me read it.
Yeah.
All right, it's related to posing. I think I may be overthinking too much, but that's one of the things I fear when I shoot.
Yep.
Are there any rules, or do I just go with what looks good to me? It's like I see it in my head, but when I take the shot, it's not what I saw at all. Please help.
Yeah, that's a wonderful comment.
He's having trouble posing his subjects.
Yeah, that's a wonderful comment. And I think it's something that you're going to see a lot happen for any photographer out there, to be real. Something I've said for a long time is my biggest difficulty as a newer photographer was I could see the shot in my head, but I didn't know how to output it in my camera. And when you start growing as a photographer, what ends up happening is the things that are in your head start coming out of your camera. In other words, you bridge that gap. And I think in regards to posing, first things first. The way that I taught myself photography and the way that I teach people at the workshops now is simple. Take photography one piece at a time. I think photographers make it too difficult, and what ends up happening is they'll go to do a shoot, and when they do that shoot, they have tons of things swirling around their head. They have the lighting, the posing, the composition, they have the mood, whatever it may be.
And even a fabulous location and a beautiful model, and they're just excited.
Yeah, sometimes it's difficult because you feel the pressure. I'll say that much. You feel the pressure of wanting to output some great work. And honestly, to be candid, the more beautiful the subject is and the more phenomenal the background is or the location, the more pressure you feel. Because you're like, wow, I'm shooting a wedding at Disneyland, for example, like I've done 3 or 4 times. I'm shooting a wedding at Disneyland. The expectations are super high. But back to the posing, first step, slow it down. I know the advice that you hear a lot of photographers say, the seasoned photographers, and it's incredibly true, is slow down. Take it one step at a time. One tip I'll give you on posing is start with the feet. Start with the feet. If you try to pose everything else, think of the feet as the anchor to your pose. If you constantly move everything else but the anchor point is off, they're going to be off.
It's the foundation.
It is the foundation. So if that foundation is off, nothing else is going to settle correctly. So the hips won't be right, the knees won't be right, elbows, joints, shoulders, head, eyes, chin, everything is going to be off. So biggest piece of advice I'd give you, start with the feet, work your way up there. Second thing I would tell you is go out with someone and go out with the expected output that you are going to learn posing. You're going to teach yourself posing. You're going to practice posing. So get a model, whether you're going to pay her or do it like a TF shoot, like a time for. Tell them that you are trying to learn posing. And don't be bashful about it because that helps to remove some of that pressure that you're feeling. And I think that that's really important.
Absolutely.
What have you learned with posing since you've been working with me, Emily?
I think totally slowing down, not being so fidgety. So for example, like you see in the movies, everyone, like the model's going so fast, changing up the poses, all of that. That's not what you want at all. He's like, whoa, slow down. So now he's really taught me to just stay still, and since you're so good at posing and communicating, you direct me to move as needed. Yeah,
one thing to keep in mind, like Emily just said, is, just like anything, movies and TV are so fake. And so when you're watching, an exaggerated, version of a photographer, they're like rolling around doing like ninja freaking kicks, and shooting like stupidly, and the model's like doing 100,000 poses a minute. That's not reality. And I think a lot of the times we draw that conclusion and we make that stereotype because models are typically viewed through the lens of a runway. If you think about all of us growing up, when we typically see models on TV, they're walking a runway. Well, models on a runway have to move quickly and they have to constantly pose because they are not taking direction from a given photographer, from a lead photographer.
They're just trying to pose for hundreds of, like, the surrounding audience.
Yeah, and really just for TV.
Yeah.
And the designers and everybody else there. Whereas the vast majority of real work, and I'm not in any way downgrading or degrading runway work, but it's not relative to what we do in regards to portraiture or trying to flatter the body, whether that's in portraits or weddings or lifestyle, whatever it may be. When we're shooting models or any of those kinds of genres, it's not runway stuff. And I think that's the mistake that a lot of photographers make is they constantly, we get those ideas in our heads. And keep one thing in mind, my friends out there, if you are trying to learn posing, go with the intended result of getting 3 or 4 fantastic shots versus 30, 40, or 300 and 400, mediocre ones, because it'll really help you to hone in and get a great shot. Because I'll tell you one thing, you will sell more work off of 2 or 3 great shots than you will off of 20 or 30 mediocre ones.
Yeah, and people don't want to see that many shots of the same shoot anyways.
Yeah, it's pretty boring.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty boring. So let's share a memory from one of our shoots together. I think what we're trying to do is, again, chronicle some of the things that we've been able to do together. And this actually harkens back to some of the first stuff that Emily and I were doing together.
Very fun. So the very first trip you ever took me on, we went to Seattle. And this was after the photo walk I attended. So I was modeling at this workshop in Seattle about a month later. And we're in the woods, about to get ready to do a shoot. And on our way down, we see a bear, a huge bear, and a couple of cubs.
Yep. And the mama bear with the cubs is something you want to stay away from.
Uh-huh.
I've been in Alaska. I've shot grizzlies, honestly, 10 feet from me. No joke, no barriers, no walls, nothing. So I'm not going to pretend to be a National Geographic photographer, but I have shot wildlife up and close.
So Jason goes right into dad mode and says, look it. Do not run if you see a bear, because nonetheless we're out there at nighttime and it's getting dark.
What a shocker!
I mean, you're a master of light, so we're using the lights.
We're shooting in this freaking abandoned tunnel, and it's yeah.
And he says you do not want to run and you do not want to startle the bear, so avoid being quiet. So what he tells us to do is start yelling bear, bear,
hey bear,
bear,
hey bear, yeah,
bear. So we're walking through the woods saying bear, and it's just super funny because ever since that moment, even we're out of the woods in Seattle, if I'm looking for Jason, I'll be like bear.
I think she just thinks I look like a bear, but yeah, it is something to keep in mind, and it is funny and fun for me to think back to all the different experiences that I've had as a photographer over the years, and how those all start to come full circle and come into play. And we're running out of there, and the scariest part, I'll say this about shooting in nature, and I've done it, like I said, a lot, either in Africa on safari or Alaska, any of the Pacific Northwest, any of those areas with bears. It's you want to be quiet. It actually kind of freaks you out because you want to be quiet, because like, I don't want to let... you think about it. It's like a movie, right?
Oh, yeah.
In a movie, like if there's a murderer, or I love horror movies, but if there's like a murderer, you don't want to like, hey, murderer, you know what I mean? Know what I mean? Right. And so it's just really interesting, because you have to get over that and realize if you startle a bear, you're dead. Mm-hmm. And if you see a baby bear, you best clear out of that area. Again, don't turn your back.
Because mama's close by.
Yeah, mama's close by, and if mama thinks that you're a threat to that baby, you are dead. You are dead.
Mm-hmm. Bear! So that's how... that was a good memory.
That was a good memory. So right now, where are we at? We're sitting here in Miami.
Yes.
We're in Miami. We just ended up a trip. We've done a crazy trip all the way from Houston, and we've road tripped this, y'all.
It's been so great. Houston to Miami.
Yeah, we've gone from Houston to New Orleans to... It was supposed to be Panama City Beach, but unfortunately for those folks, the hurricane didn't leave much to be shot there, and we didn't want to be insensitive and go into a place where there's ruin people's homes and go shoot there, because that's just that's somebody's life that just got destroyed. So we ended up moving that one over to Destin, San Destin area. Then we did one last night in Jacksonville, photo walk. These are all stops that we've done with great photographers out there. And now we're down here in Miami. We have a day or two for travel to get down here. Now we are down in Miami, and we're going to be doing a workshop. We're going to be shooting at Everglades tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to be doing some work with a group here for a workshop in Miami. But yeah, let's talk about this trip a little bit. I mean, some of these places you haven't been to before. And I ask her these questions and I get in trouble. And then she throws out, "I'm the old man, Alzheimer's." But maybe I shouldn't have said Alzheimer's, senility, whatever you want to call it. But it was your first time in
New Orleans.
Was it the first time in Texas for you?
Nope, it was not. I had some family in Texas, but I hadn't been since the 4th grade.
So honestly. Pretty much the first time.
Yeah. I was quite young when I went.
We had some really fun stuff in Houston. Guys, you got to understand, one of the best things about me teaching, and one of the main reasons I love to teach, is I get to dictate where I go. I get to dictate when I do it.
Yeah, during the time of year.
Yeah. Yeah, because we've been to some freaking cold places, so it's nice. That's why I scheduled this trip down here.
Like, finally warm.
Yeah, not have to wear 40 layers of
But then
clothes.
I'm whining. I'm like, ugh, humidity and mosquitoes.
Yeah, she did. She's whining about it. But
no, I'm glad. It's very nice to be out of the cold.
And Houston had a ton of mosquitoes, but one of the really fun things is we had a guy out there. When people come to my workshops, they kind of get nicknames.
They definitely get nicknames.
A lot of them. And you guys got to understand the nicknames are not meant in any way to be derogatory, even though the nicknames sometimes may sound derogatory, but they're not meant in that way. The nicknames are out there because I've nicknamed all my best friends, anyone that knows me. If they get a nickname, it means that they are endearing to me. I feel comfortable enough to give them a nickname.
Yeah.
But we went out and did a shoot, and my man Jose let me borrow the Canon 300mm 2.8 lens, and that's the first time I've been able to use that. I have, again, for those who don't know, I'm a Sony shooter, and I have almost all the Sony glass, but I also have a lot of Canon glass, even though I'm a former Nikon shooter. I know it's a little confusing, but for those who don't know, the Canon glass works really great on Sony for the most part. And
it's so funny, too, at the start of the workshop, you always ask the attendees, like, what do you shoot with? What gear do you have? And when Jose mentioned that he had the Canon 300, I could see the wheels turning. I'm like, uh-oh, here we go.
Absolutely. So during a section of the shooting section of the workshop, typically I don't shoot a lot, but at the workshops, I'll do a demonstration portion. And this time I was able to do the demonstration. It represents maybe 10% of the workshop, but people want to see me shoot, and so I do that at the workshop. And
it gives them a lot more creative info that they might not have.
Yeah, that's really true.
You did some really awesome things during that shoot.
Yeah, we did some crazy stuff. So I slapped the 300 2.8 on the A7R III with the Metabones Mark V adapter. I had never used that one before, and Jose had the Mark V. Because everybody in Houston was like rich, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, damn.
They had nice gear.
These guys have some nice stuff, man. It was crazy. And we had some Nikon shooters there. We had Sony shooters there. But he came with the Canon 300 2.8, and I was able to shoot with it with the Mark V on the Metabones, and that was a lot of fun to be able to play with. We did a really fun shoot. And I think you're right, though. One thing that was fun about it was we were throwing sand, and, well, I wasn't, to be honest. I was, a good, 30, 40 feet away from the subject due to the fact that it was a 300 2.8.
We're on this beautiful path, lovely little pathway, and for some strange reason, there was sand on this path, and it was covered in leaves. Leaves had just fallen, and Jason's like, okay, I need my leaf throwers. So we start throwing some leaves, and there was sand in our hands, and that's when, with the flash, you started to realize, wow, that looks fantastic. It almost looked like water.
Yeah, it was nuts. And we did roll a YouTube video on this, and you'll see it come out in the future. But I will say, what was very interesting is understanding the dynamics of how to shoot something like that. Because for those who don't use a lot of flash photography, there's something called a flash recycle time on the light that requires the flash to recycle before it'll fire again. For those who do use it a lot, that it doesn't recycle immediately. So yeah, so you'll miss shots, and then you're really pissed off and want to throw your light in the water. But what you have to do is dial down the power output on the flash, which enables you to get almost immediate recycle time. Mm-hmm. So if I'm not mistaken, just going off memory, I think I was firing with the Godox 8600 Pro. Godox sent me a couple lights, so I've been playing with them. But it does 600 watt second mono light, and I've been playing with that inside of the Westcott Rapid Box XXL. It was the 2X, right? 2XL?
I believe so.
Yeah, the 48 inch. But playing with that, and I turned it all the way down to 1/32 of a power, which really will, when you draw down the power, what it'll do is give you much better recycle time. And so I shoot with A7R III. I turn it up to, I think there's different frames per second modes on all cameras, but on the A7R III, I think the top end speed is 10 frames a second, which is high plus. High is 7 or 8, if I'm not mistaken. So I turned it to high because I knew high plus it would never keep up. On high, the Godox kept up at about, I don't know, you looked at the shots with me. I'd say maybe it did 3 out of 4 shots.
Oh, yeah. More than half.
Yeah.
More than half.
Yeah, so it was a really it was a pretty complex shoot actually, because what we had was we had the Godox above on a C stand, an eye lighter beneath to shine light, capture light, reflect light from the bottom up, and then we had one of the workshop attendees, Daddy Warbucks. That's his nickname because he drives a Mercedes. It's a nice one too. And every time I call him Daddy Warbucks, I'm like, stop calling me Daddy Warbucks. But he would laugh. But yeah, and he was firing behind, which gave us rim light. But like Emily said, what we really noticed that was fun is the it was capturing all of the elements in the air. And I noticed that the leaves were super cool, and the intent was the leaves. But then when we turned it in and found out that what ended up happening is they had inadvertently picked up the sand when they scooped up the leaves, and when they were throwing the leaves, I saw the pebbles of sand illuminate, and then it really created
It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was some great shots. And then I said, oh, okay, now we need more sand. So.
And the attendees were perplexed. They're like, where's the recycle time? And it's because you turned it down, or sped it up.
Yeah. No, I turned it down.
Okay, yeah. It was turned down so much that it captured all of that sand. It was really cool.
Yeah, so that's one of those shoots you have to understand the dynamics of shutter speed. You don't want a shutter speed that's too slow. I think I was shooting at 3/20th of a second. Whenever I've shot something like the NFL, I have a great friend, Sony artisan Gene Lauer, who I've been able to go down and shoot some NFL games with him. And I remember him telling me, hey, Jason, these guys are so freaking fast. 800ths of a second or faster. And that was a good rule of thumb. And so it's fun to bring those elements into a shoot like this. I didn't have to shoot at 800 because, they're not running as fast as the NFL. But getting that sand was, you guys will see the shots. They were really, really, really pretty. And it was really pretty, too, because the model, Veronica, had a violin. Mm-hmm. So she
was playing it wonderfully. He asked her, he's like, how good are you? And she's like, oh, not very good. But then when she started playing, it was lovely.
It was. It was great.
It made for a cool shoot.
It did. So, Emily, what's been your favorite thing working with me? Or your worst thing? What's one... Yeah, probably worse is going to be a much bigger chapter. What would you say has been the biggest surprise in working for me? I didn't prep her for this, by the way.
The biggest surprise. Well, I get to use all your gear. That's a surprise. And that's my favorite thing, too.
Yeah.
Come on, I was shooting with an A6000, and now I get to have access to full-frame everything and beautiful glass. You've taught me so much about photography. And not only photography, just lighting. And I haven't necessarily done all of it myself, but standing right by your side, always being at the workshops, watching it and hearing it over and over, I'm just absorbing so much information, and it's incredible. That's my favorite.
What's been the hardest thing since joining? Difference in lifestyle?
Yeah, I almost want to say the travel life, but not really, because I live on my own anyway. I'm already 3,000 miles away from my family. So that's not too hard. I've definitely gotten better at living out of a suitcase. I figured out, different ways, but that's not too hard. Honestly, it's not hard working with you. It's not hard at all. We have a blast every day.
Yeah.
And when I'm home, I say, look, I need a beach day, and he gives me my beach day and doesn't call me, so...
She's like, leave me the freak alone.
I'm going to the beach.
I don't want to see your face. I don't want to see your phone number. I don't want to see your text. You can go take a long walk off a short cliff.
But, Jason, it's really not hard. It's not. Ooh, eating. Eating has been hard. That was a
hard, yeah.
That was a hard transition. Just always eating on the road and finding time to make good meals and finding that balance. That was a different transition. I didn't eat out all the time, but
Yeah, I'd say the same thing for me. That's been very, I've been on as some know, I've been on a weight loss journey, and that's been the most difficult part for me. Is I have cut the most weight when I can be at the gym, when I can go home and really get things done. But being on the road, it's amazing. It's amazing to see the world. It was my dream as a kid to see the world, and I get to live it out. As I've told many people many times, my dream was to be Indiana Jones. Yeah, I saw Indiana Jones movie, like, that's what I want to be when I grow up.
You are Indiana Jones.
Yeah, we do some crazy stuff. But
I mean, look how you've got the halo and the Eos over there.
Yeah, it's pretty Jimmy Riggs. If you guys you can't see it, but the
monopod.
But the Rhodolite Eos is inside of the Westcott Halo, which is on top of a monopod, which is jammed into the back of a sofa couch.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
You are innovative.
Yes, well, like I said, the best photographers are the best problem solvers.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Problem
solution, baby. Yeah, but I'd say the hardest thing definitely has been, for me, as I've acclimated to this life, has been, moving into trying to, cut weight and do all those other things. That's definitely really difficult to eat on the road. And it's funny because over the years you'll have people tell you, oh, well, just do this. It's not hard. You can choose what goes into your mouth. It's not difficult.
No, because even when you order healthy, things are made in a restaurant for taste. So chicken doused in butter and salt, they're made for flavor. They don't care about how you look.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that some folks may not fully appreciate is just how many times you are in a pinch. And you really need fuel. It's not a matter. It's like, I need to eat. I'm starving. I gotta eat. I
don't care what it is.
Yeah,
especially being on a flight for 12, 16 hours. You'll eat any of that crap that they give you on the airplane.
Yeah, and you try to, even when we eat on the planes, we'll skip the desserts. And again, you're trying to be healthy, but even if you're trying to watch your carbs or whatever else, it's difficult to. Hey, I either eat this or I eat nothing.
Or I wither away.
Yeah. Yeah, which
or I have low blood sugar.
Yes, exactly. So, we've had a tremendous week. We've really enjoyed this. We want to know if you guys like these podcasts. Let us know.
Yeah, please.
Let us know if you like the podcasts.
I'm so excited to be doing this with you. I know that you've done it before, but really to be by your side and get it going all over again, this is a huge special day for me.
Yeah, but to be real, I mean, and it is for me too. But to be real, when I did the podcast before, I just had a little microphone and I was leaning over and talking into it. I didn't have a pretty nice setup, and I certainly didn't have a little protege that I could
creating MJ. Mini Jason.
Yes, and I didn't have a protege that I could train and do this with it, which I think is important. And something that we're trying to do as well is give more of a female perspective with what we do, and also to approach this. It's fun because I've been a pro for 11 years now, and again, I've worked with some great companies and I've done some outrageous stuff. But to kind of take our followers on the journey of what it's like to be a new photographer. And you're certainly not a newbie, but I have a lot to teach you.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot to really, give to you in that way. And I look forward to that.
And I'm super grateful to be here.
Well, you are most definitely welcome.
Thank
you. We're going to do something on the podcast here called our favorite photographer moment of the week. And
this one was cute.
It was, and I'll have Emily describe it a little bit.
So we're driving from
this is today, by the way.
Yeah, happened today. It was really cute. We're driving from Jacksonville to Miami. Jason gets a phone call, and he answers it. Hello.
Comes over the car.
Yeah. Comes over the car because we're driving. Bluetooth, of course. Well, I guess you can get away with it. You can talk on your phone in Florida, but still, it was Bluetooth. And he answers, and then the person was pretty quiet and apprehensive. He's like, "Oh, hello." Jason's like, hi, what can I do for you? And he introduced himself. He's a student in Southern California writing a paper on Jason, which is really interesting because that's the second time this week that we've heard a student is writing a paper on you. Super, super cool.
It is very cool.
It's really cool.
It is. It's very, very humbling. Yeah.
And so he said that he was just on his website and he wanted to find some more information out about him. But the student was completely blown away that Jason even answered the phone.
He's like, I didn't expect you to answer the phone.
He said, I want to know some personal information. Okay, so Jason goes, what can I do for you, brother? He goes, oh, I'm looking to hear some, I want to know some personal information about you. And I'm just like smiling.
I'm like, here we go.
He asks when he's born, and Jason tells him 1782. It was cute. It was just a nice little interview. He gave some background info on his life.
People are gonna think I was jerking the guy's chain. I just had fun with him, but I gave him real answers.
Yeah, he gave him real answers. But it was funny. It was sweet. The student did not expect for Jason to even answer, so he was a little bit ill prepared with his questions and kind of thrown off too.
It was cute too because he's like, he didn't know how to end the call because I didn't want to rush him, and he's like, I got to go to class now.
He's like, okay, buddy.
I guess it's fun to share those stories because what I would tell experienced photographers out there, well-known photographers out there, is people really look up to you. Whether or not it's deserved by any of us is another discussion, but people do look up to you. And I know that when I was a newer photographer, there were certainly people that if I had been able to reach out to them and speak to them on the phone, I would have been tongue-tied. I wouldn't have known what to say. And I guess that's my long-winded way of saying, if you get a phone call from a photographer, or if you have the opportunity to reach out and go to schools or whatever else, like when we go to photography schools, I waive my speaking fee. I mean, I waive my speaking fee to go to schools because, students need to be inspired and educated. And so, if you're a photography school out there, if we're going to be in your area, want us to swing by,
I would love that.
I'm telling you, we'll come and I'll speak there, no charge. But what I would say is, understand that you have the opportunity to, make somebody's life either a tiny bit better or maybe a lot better. And you have the opportunity to make a change in someone's life. And if you have that opportunity, you should take it. Yeah.
I couldn't imagine. I remember when you texted me, I almost fainted for the very first time, let alone calling you. And, if you really said hello and answered the phone, I would have acted the same way.
That's very sweet. At the end of the day, I'm a guy with a wife and 3 beautiful boys. Mm-hmm. And I'm just a normal guy. And I just take pictures. And I think that, when you see the rings and the hat and everything else, it's just what I love. I love the rings on my fingers. You guys on the podcast can't see this, but the rings on my fingers, they represent, each one's from a different continent. And it's a simple way to remind me of all the places I've been. And I don't buy a lot of souvenirs. I think maybe you'll notice that I really don't buy souvenirs, but I buy things that help remind me of these amazing places that I've been able to go. So it's been super fun. A shout out to my wife and my boys. I love you guys. Who would you like to do a shout out to, Emily?
My mom and dad, my sister, her lovely children. I love you guys. Little shout out to Bryant, Richard Dollard, Neil. Between him and Jason, they taught me everything I know about photography. I love my speech friends, Ashton and Kristen. They got me through grad school, which evidently ended me up here, prepared me for this.
Perfect.
And all of my wonderful colleagues in Oregon. They welcomed me with open arms. As much as they didn't want me to leave, they totally supported my decision, and I'm so grateful that they still follow my journey. They're like family. I love you guys.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
So where are we off to next, Em? What are we doing after Miami? What are the plans?
Cuba. We're going to Cuba.
We are going to Cuba.
Yeah.
We have like 1 or 2 spots left for that trip if anybody wants to go. But we're.
I'm excited.
She is excited. It's crazy. I just realized we're coming back here to Miami.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because we're coming to Miami before. We're going to meet here and do a sit-down workshop on the day before we go to Cuba to kind of get everybody tooled up on gear and figuring out, how to use it and how to get the most out of the trip. Make sure we get everybody together in one place before we fly over so there's no, mishaps or whatever it may be.
But that trip is going to be awesome. I encourage you to sign up now.
Yeah. That's going to be January 8th through the 15th in Cuba. It's going to be amazing. It'll be my 4th time there. And gosh, I'll tell you what, it is a photographer's paradise. It's truly, truly amazing.
We're going to ride horses through a tobacco field. What?
By the way, you guys
pierce their ears.
Yeah, you may not know this, but Emily has a tremendous voice. She's a wonderful vocalist.
Jason does.
So
he's a wonderful pianist.
But thank you. But we're really looking forward to it. We hope you guys like the podcast. What we're going to do in the future as we roll out these episodes is start to share some of our favorite moments, again, from some of our travels. And we want to kind of get caught up and kind of do a time machine and get caught up from all these crazy places, because we do have a lot of amazing memories and things that we want to share. I mean, guys, we're talking about places like we went to Auschwitz.
Yeah.
I mean, we went to Auschwitz.
That was the first place I ever photographed with Jason.
Yeah, and so we want to do like an episode and really delve into that and talk about what it was like to shoot in a place like Auschwitz. And then that's obviously in Poland. And then
what a moment.
Yeah, and then we shot in Prague, and then we went and shot an 11th century castle in Germany.
My first wedding. I was a second shooter with Jason Lanier. Wow. Wow, it was so crazy.
Guys, just so you know, if you're listening, watching this, she makes me feel amazing, but I'm just a normal dude, and I love this, and I'm grateful that I have somebody here who's helping me like she does.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
But we shot a wedding in an 11th century castle in Germany, where we sweated our coconuts off and doing a shoot. Sony sent me the 400mm 2.8 lens. That's the newest video out, by the way.
Check it out.
Check it out. And I say this with all love, but something I said on my channel for a while is the pimps and hoes out there. I've been good on this podcast. I haven't said anything crazy.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, but I do have to throw in a Santa Maria Guadalupe in there. But
right.
Absolutely. But yeah, Sony sent me the 400 2.8. We went to a shoot, freaking boiling hot.
That shoot was probably the hardest. An attendee asked last night what was the toughest shoot, and it definitely was that one. We were so far away from each other, and it was so hot.
Yeah, we actually used walkie-talkies. You should watch that video. It's pretty funny.
It's hilarious. But and we're both at a point where it's like so uncomfortably hot. We could have been nasty or like grumpy with each other or short, but it's like, you know what I'm feeling, he's feeling too, and we just kept it lighthearted and laughed and had fun. But trust us, our feet were burning.
Yeah, literally,
pavement.
like when we're in the middle of the road. That's the video we were talking about when we were first doing it. We're in the middle of the road. I mean, Emmy, I'm sure you felt it.
Oh yeah.
But I had Doc Martens on, which is what I normally wear, and it was like melting through. I mean, not like Indiana Jones melting like the hands.
It felt like it.
But yeah, the heat was coming up through the body, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
And I'm in all this pinup clothing, that petticoat underneath. I'm like, I'm so hot. My toes were hot on the asphalt.
Yeah, I was hoping that, because Sony sent me that lens to use. It's like $12,000.
Yeah, he's got it in the road.
I have it in the middle of the road, and I'm like...
Classic,
exactly. But I'm like, man, I sure hope this thing doesn't, like, melt on me, because it was freaking miserable. That shoot sucked. The shots...
As fun as the video was, that was a very hard shoot.
Oh, not to mention the fact that, the freaking light. I pulled out, guys... Adorama was very kind and sent me the Flashpoint Orlet. And it's pretty funny because they sent it to my house with no note or anything. It just arrived at my house. And I'm like, okay, they must want me to try this in a video. I'm like, fair enough. Game on. So I take it out. The very first shoot that I ever used it on, the wind picks up in the freaking desert and knocks that freaking thing over and breaks it. And I'm like, oh, sorry, Adorama. By the way, don't forget the creepers that were hanging around.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that doesn't make it into the videos. But
there were creepy people in that desert.
Yeah.
Driving in their trucks, honking their horns, woo woo.
Yeah, like drug deals going on, and we're at an abandoned gas station, and then this guy pulls over, and he's like, "Hey, can I get her to come out and take some pictures with me with his freaking phone?"
He said, she charges way too much. I'm like,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I told the guy, she charges way too much. I said, in fact, me stopping and talking to you is costing me a lot of money. So
I'll add it to your tab.
Yeah, she throws tons of crap on the tab. Tons of crap, especially when we go to Starbucks, like tab. So, but yeah, that was a great shoot. And we have a lot more fun shoots coming out. A lot of back shoots, too. We're trying to really get caught up, get these back shoots out there, and really get them out to the public and to our followers.
There's a lot of good content.
A lot of good content. But, again, I mean, it's insane. We've been in Kentucky. We've been in Detroit, where we had a model, complete model, Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, mother freaking, I mean, seriously, this freaking model went boom. She's insane. This individual was insane. Gosh, she was freaking crazy.
Hey, you live and you learn.
YOLO. It was seriously, she was nuts. She told me she had 3 mamas and everything else. Wait till we tell that story. So then we went back and we went to Scotland, and then we went back down into England. We shot cosplay. God, we've done some amazing. We got chased by security at President's Heads over in Virginia.
He almost broke his ankle falling down this hill.
Oh my gosh.
Lost in the woods.
Yeah. And it's just like straight out of a movie. It took us 5 minutes to walk through the woods to find it, and it took us an hour to get back out, and we're lost.
We did not know that President's Heads was a military base.
Yeah. It's probably like some, dark cover, stupid CIA installation. And then we start telling the workshop group, yeah, this is happening. Like, do you know what that is?
We're like, no.
Oh, well, you guys could have been arrested. Oh.
Or shot.
Or killed.
Or like in the woods. I'm like, we have to go to these President's Heads. It was on my bucket list. We have to go. And then so we drive. I guess we're telling the story.
Yeah, we'll tell the whole story later. It's for future podcasts. We've already been going over an hour, so we don't want to bore the folks. But we have some amazing stories to tell, and it's so unique what we get to do, because we get to do this crazy thing called photography, and I say this in all the most with all sincerity. We are living a dream. I'm living my dream, and I'm very grateful for that, and I'm humbled that I get to do it. And because of that, we want to share this journey. And if any of you out there find any, nuggets of information that help you to achieve your dreams and follow your dreams, we hope that this podcast and the video as well, but we hope it helps people out there. We really do.
Yeah.
We really do. So if you want to come and visit us at any of these events, go to jasonlanier.com/register. It's gonna take us a little while to get these podcasts and at the RSS feed, but if you're listening to this, it's probably up. But we're gonna be working. You can go to jasonlanier.com/podcast, and we'll start pumping these episodes out. But a big thank you to Emily.
Thank you. Huge thanks to you, Jason. You made this happen. This man is a workaholic. You figured out how to get this going, and travel friendly. Smart man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And she's just crazy amazing. So it really helps to have somebody. I will say this much. It helps to have somebody working with me that matches the persistence and desire to succeed that I have.
Thank you.
And that's a rare quality to find, because I'm the James Brown of photography, motherfriggers. I mean, you can say what you want about me, but you will not outwork me. I promise you that. You won't. So having somebody, I think that's the thing you say to me more than anything. A comment I get from you more often than not is, you work so hard.
Oh yeah.
And it's not a bragging thing. I'm trying to really throw it out there and tell people, if you want to be successful, you have to work harder than other people.
Yeah, you got to chase it. It's not going to come to you.
Your dreams.
That's his response.
That's right.
Go get it.
Chase your dreams. They're not going to chase you. That's exactly right. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
We are fully aware that this broadcast on the video end of it is, just two talking heads sitting there, in front of an ugly yellow hotel wall. But
this is the life.
This is the reality of being a travel photographer. It really is. But you'll see these pop up. If you like the video end of it, we'll certainly post that as well. But this is the reality of being a travel photographer, and we hope to shed some light on it, and we hope it helps. So until next time,
keep shooting.
Never give up on your dreams.
Find the right boss.
Or model.
Or gear.
Or not crazy models.
Or equipment.
Yes, that works for you. And remember,
you only have one chance to get it right.
We love you guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. Yay! Awesome job.
One more time. Great job, sis. Now I left you hanging.
Try again. They'll love it. That's fine. We're not in motion. Try again.
Okay, this is bad. This is number 4. We have to be standing.
You do that when you're walking, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
That was awful.
Peace.
Bye.